Hi everyone, I'm Saleha Singh and this is Chai Chat and Community. Tonight we are discussing organ donation. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting tonight, and I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Have you heard of Donate Week? This week started from the 28th of July and ends tonight, encourages more Australians to get behind organ and tissue donation. Are you wondering why you should donate? Well, 4 in 5 Australians support organ donation, but only 1 in 3 are registered organ donors. To talk more about this, I am joined by the amazing Ayushi Killen. I cannot speak enough of her, who is passionate about the cause. So, a little bit about Ayushi, and she will talk more about herself. Over the years, Ayushi has received critical acclaim for her efforts. She was named the City of Melbourne Youth Champion in 2020, 40 under 40 Most Influential Australian Asian in 2020, Multicultural Award of Excellence in 2020, 7 News Young Achievers Award for Body Buddies in 2022. What have I missed, Ayushi?
No, too much already.
It isn't. Tell us something about yourself, please.
Well, I was born in India, of course, and we moved to Australia when I was 3 years old. I'm currently studying medicine. I'm very, very passionate about health, as we'll get into. And I'm also doing currently a research, a PhD, looking at chronic pain in children with cerebral palsy. So working with children has been a big interest for a long period of my life. Done a lot of volunteering programs, gone overseas to help international communities as well. And then working within healthcare and health awareness is another big passion of mine, particularly started during COVID-19. And those are the key things that really are the biggest interests in my life.
So, with such a packed life, what do you do outside of work?
I do love photography. That's one of my key hobbies. And of course, which we'll probably talk about more, I run a social enterprise called Body Buddies, focused on raising health awareness amongst the general population. Started off with kids, but just really anyone of all ages who's keen to learn more about health, and help create a society that's more health engaged, so that we don't have crises like we did in COVID. So that's another big passion project of mine.
Amazing. For a young woman, you're such a role model. You are.
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
really impressed. Uh, so, coming to tonight's topic, what exactly is organ and tissue donation?
Yeah, so organ donation is the process in which a person donates their organs to another living being. And this process happens after someone passes away. There are many people who have medical conditions where their organs no longer function, and they cannot medication drugs cannot help them anymore, and it's at a point where the only way they will survive is by receiving an organ from another human. So those organs are donated by people who have generally passed away, and they will pass in circumstances where their organs are being able to be kept alive, but they have sadly gone. So we can get into more of the specifics of the circumstance in which someone can donate. Not everyone can donate their organ. You have to pass away in a hospital setting in a certain circumstance, but that's what organ donation is. Now, organ donation is a very complicated process. It's not so much as, you need an organ, I give you my organ. You have to make sure that all the tissue, all the different markers in the body matches. So we have to make sure our blood type's the same, all of our markers in our organs are the same, so that you don't reject the organ when you get it. So again, not only is there very few people who can even be a donor, once you are a donor, you have to make sure that that donor matches the person who needs an organ. So it's a very, very complicated procedure, and that's what makes it really hard to find the right donors for the right recipients. And there's many conditions where people require this. For example, diabetes, end-stage diabetes, where people's kidneys don't work anymore, they often need a transplant. There is also tissue donation, as we talked about. So other than organs, you also have tissues like your blood, your plasma, which is a part of your blood, and then also your bone marrow, which can help kids and adults who are not able to produce their own sort of blood cells. Sometimes you can get a bone marrow transplant as well. So, like I said, mainly passed away people will donate, but you can have some organs that you can give while you're living, which we can definitely talk about as
Yeah.
well.
Okay. Thank you. So currently, more than 1,800 people are waiting for life-saving transplant. So this was, can you donate while you're alive?
Yeah. So there is certain organs that you can donate as a living donor. A couple of organs that you can donate is your liver, for example, and that's because you only give a portion of your liver. Your liver is a very regenerative organ. It's very cool. It can sort of regrow itself. So if you give a person a little portion of your liver, that's enough for them to survive and that liver to regenerate in you and the person who needs it. So I met a couple of years ago, I met an Indian couple. Both of them had actually, they're living donors. They both donated their livers to their respective fathers who both had liver issues. So you can donate your liver. Yeah. Another one is kidney. Of course, humans have two kidneys, so you can always give one kidney to someone else. Now, is it common to donate your liver and kidney? Not really. It's more common only if you have a family member who requires it and you happen to match with them. It's not as common to donate it to a stranger while you're living because, of course, it's a very complicated surgery and procedure. So, it's not something that many people will sign up to do to give to another person while living. But there are things you can do that is very easy to do while you're a living person. You can donate your tissues, such as your blood. Your blood is easy to donate. You can go and donate actually every 6 weeks, and it's in fact good for you to donate. It's good for your cells to regenerate as well. And also with your blood, you can donate your plasma, which is they extract that from your blood, and you can also donate your bone marrow as well. So they will just extract from your bone a little bit of bone marrow, and that you can give in a relatively easy and harmless procedure to someone who might need it. So you can donate certain things.
Sorry, no, you go.
Yeah, that's all. You can donate certain organs and tissues while you're living too.
Is there a side effect
of donation? So tissue donation, no. Blood donation is, they always make sure that you have the right amount of blood, you're not anemic, you don't have any conditions before you donate. In Australia especially, they're incredibly cautious. And with kidney and liver, if you're donating an organ, of course it is a challenge to recover. It's not so easy, you're having a major surgery, but generally, again, they will make sure that you're 100% safe. I met a man last year in one of the transplant community events I went to, and he was just honestly the kindest man you would have met. He donated a part of his liver and one kidney to complete strangers. He was the one in a million people who said, you know what, I just want to do it. And that is incredible, for him to do. And I can't even imagine doing that. But he did that. And, again, it took a bit of recovery, but he's living a completely normal life now, despite that donation.
Excellent. So because we talk multiculturalism so much, do you see multicultural communities and people donating organs and tissues?
So we see
you talked about this Indian, you talked about the Indian couple donating to their respective fathers, but that's because they are, their family and you want to look after your parents. But
exactly,
generally, is this a norm, or is it because I haven't heard of it, but maybe I haven't read enough? or seen
So
enough?
it's not common in the Indian community, and there's a lot of issues. I think the only people who talk about it in our community are people who've been affected by it themselves. Either they needed it or their family members needed it, and that's why they know and support organ donation. Otherwise, in our community, we just don't talk about it enough. There is some kind of stigma associated with organ donation, and unfortunately, I think because in South Asian countries, especially like India, there's a lot of organ trafficking, and the
Yep.
business is not well structured. Organ donation is not well sort of organized or thought through, and that kind of culture, that kind of fear, that, oh, it's not regulated, it won't be done properly, this kind of fear we bring with us when we come
With
to
yep.
Australia. And so here, even we won't talk about it, we don't learn enough about it, the importance of it, and how simple it is to donate and support. Another thing is a lot of misconceptions with religion. A lot of
I was
religious
going to
people
ask
will
you that. Yes.
a lot of religious people will believe that it goes against the religion, which I know in Hinduism it certainly does not, and in most major religions it doesn't. But it's just that lack of understanding of what the process actually is, that creates these feelings of fear in people.
Also, religion has evolved. Religious scriptures and all these beliefs are more than thousands of years old, and you did not
Absolutely.
have, the medical advancement that is happening now and has happened over the last 10 years is so much more and so much more enhanced than what we
Hmm.
used to have before. So obviously, I think all religion, whatever the diktats that we have, there is always a reason behind it. It's not that,
Absolutely.
but I think along with medical advancement, we also need to advance. And if organ donation, is one way of doing it, maybe that's why. And I told you before we started the show that I'm an organ donor and I'm passionate about it. So, as are my
Yeah,
girls
and I
and
think
my whole family. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, as I was going to say, with there's this belief that you won't get to cremate your body, you won't get to see the donor ever again, and that's not simply not true. Especially in Australia, they are very, very respectful.
Yep.
If you do donate, or decide to donate, then whoever the donor is, their body is still surgically, they will,
Yep.
reform it, they will make sure it's not disfigured, it looks completely normal, and they will give you the body back to perform your own rituals or cremations as well. So it's not something where you're completely disconnected and you can never see that person again. They are very respectful in Australia, for sure.
Yeah. I know a friend passed away a few years ago and he donated his organs, including his body, for research, which is what I have done. I don't want
Yep.
to be cremated. I don't want to be buried, nothing. I want my body to go for research and be a cadaver somewhere in somebody's hospital, in some hospital. I don't know who I'm going to scare, but it comes to some use at least. Um, so we've talked about the common tissues and whether it impacts the donors at all. So one of the things I want to talk about is your big event that happened recently. I was supposed to go. I broke my, well, I fractured my knee. I fell and I fractured my knee and I couldn't go. But tell us about your body buddies, the big event
Yes.
that you had. Yes.
Yeah, so obviously we're very passionate about organ donation and raising that awareness, particularly as we're speaking in the multicultural community, because I just don't believe it's talked about enough. And the more you learn about it, the more you realize how important it is. And actually, one of the biggest statistics shows that, at the end of the day, one thing I want to say is that you don't actually get to decide if you donate your organs. It is your family, your next of kin, if you are in that situation. So, not only do you need to know about it, not only do you need to register, you need to talk to your families about it. Your community needs to know that that is your wish. A statistic shows that I think, 8 out of 10 families will donate, if they know that that is your wish. Only 4 out of 10 will donate if they don't know. And that's simply because you're in such an emotional state that it's hard to make that decision. So how do we, increase that within our multicultural community? Well, we need to start those conversations. There were so many people I know that just have never spoken about organ donation before. It's not something that comes up at the dinner table. So we created a fundraising event to help raise awareness about organ donation, particularly in our multicultural community. And we also work with Transplant Australia, which is a national charity for organ donation. And my organization work with them very closely. We donate half of our profits to them. And we invited them to help with this fundraiser, and the money from the fundraiser was being donated to Transplant Australia, especially to help out with the pediatric program, to help create some
Children.
transplant resources for children. Yes. So kids who have transplants, unfortunately, there's quite a few kids who need transplants. At the start of Donate Life Week, I met 4 kids. One girl who is South Asian, who needed a heart transplant within 6 months of being born. So there's kids who need that transplant, and we wanted to create resources to help support those kids and their families. So that's what we did the fundraiser for, and it was a smashing success. We raised over $120,000 for this cause. And the biggest thing for me, more than the money raised, was that we brought over 500 South Asian people together to make sure they now know what organ donation is about. We had several keynote speakers and even the Assistant Minister for Health come and raise that awareness within this community. And all 500 people, we did a pledge at the end of the night, and they pledged that they would support organ donation and take that step to register. So that was the really exciting first step for me. And there's so many more things I want to do in this multicultural community to raise that awareness even more in the future.
So how did this whole body buddies come about?
Yeah, so I do. My company that I helped run this fundraiser is called Body Buddies. We started off by selling these little plush toys in the shapes of different body organs. And again, the goal was to raise health awareness in a fun and creative way. And we started in COVID when we realized that health education was very poor in the community. People did not know why sanitizing was important, why wearing a mask was important. And a lot of the errors we made during COVID could have been prevented if people just knew more about health, if they understood more about vaccines, about how they work, those kind of things. So me having had experience working with kids and health education, I really wanted to do something about it. And I had a chat with my parents. I said, look, I have this idea of making these toys and creating some educational resources and booklets. And my parents said, go do it, see how it goes. And it's really grown since then. We've expanded to multiple hospitals across Australia. Of course, we've partnered with Transplant Australia to make sure half of our money goes to supporting organ donation and awareness. And, we've now launched a whole bunch of scrubs and hospital wear for hospital workers. And we've done so many health education campaigns and fundraisers. So it's been a really, really, amazing experience for me to be able to sort of channel all that energy and help raise this awareness in the community.
So are you going to, yes, the elders, the parents are your audience and they understand more. Are you going to schools to talk about them, to talk about organ donation? Because secondary school children understand this, maybe not primary school children as yet. But I learned about cornea transplant when I must have been about 7 or 8 from a Bollywood movie, when a little kid with terminal illness actually donated his eyes. So it was a cornea transplant to the protagonist, and it's I would never think I would learn anything from a Bollywood movie, but I did. And then, as I told you, my mother told me about organ donation, and she was an organ donor, and now all of us are. But religion just comes in. So when do you make people aware of it? Are secondary school students your audience? Can they be, if a parent is not aware, they would tend to listen to their children a lot more in today's world?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, obviously, we would love to see parents get more involved, and that's a lot of the work we do. But of course, half of the work I do is creating the next generation, and that
Yep.
is really focusing on education for young people. Even, I mean, secondary school, they can comprehend organ donation, but even young kids, younger than that, need to start learning about organs, about health, about the fact that they need to take care of their body. It's important, and sometimes their body can break down and they need to help themselves. These concepts need to be taught at a very young age. So that's what some of the work we're doing. We're trying to create a education book for young kids, even 5 to 8 years old, and that's what
Oh,
we're working on, creating a little book for them to learn about their body, how it even functions. And then of course we would love to do some more education within schools for organ donation at senior secondary level. But yeah, it really can start super young by just having that conversation with your little kids about, this is your heart, this is your lungs, this is how it works. Because once someone knows about their body, then they can understand why organ donation is so life saving for so many people. And they'll also learn that they need to respect their body when they have
yep,
illnesses, to take care of it. Hopefully they don't need to get to the point of organ donation
yep.
if they start taking care of their body a lot earlier.
Fantastic. So before we end, this has been an amazing conversation. Um, how does one register?
Absolutely. So in Australia, it's as simple as it depends on which state you're in, but the main method is going to your donatelife.com, and you can register from there, or even on your Medicare MyGov account,
Yep,
you can sign up and register for
yep,
organ donation. But as we mentioned, registering is one thing. You'll get a donor card which you can keep in your wallet, but the main thing is having that conversation with your family and saying,
yep.
look, this is my wish. Because if you register and you haven't told them, it's as good as not registering. There's no point. And the point is that everybody knows that this is what you would want to do if you are in that situation. So registering, putting your hand up, and then having a conversation with your family is definitely the way to go.
Thank you, Ayesha. It has been a pleasure having you, and thank you for an amazing work. It's really, really good. I mean, as I told you earlier, what a fantastic role model for young children today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I hope for your next event, I am there and I don't break my leg or a hand or something else. I was really sad.
Absolutely. We'll need you there. I
Thank,
mean, one of the focuses for our next future events will be multicultural awareness, focusing on that. So certainly will be our key community that we want to focus on organ donation awareness.
I will be there. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Good night.